Welcome to the Innovation Squadcast, making a positive difference in learning through innovation.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Innovation Squadcast, and thanks for making us part of your educational PD journey. In this episode, we dive into the entrepreneurship and empower our students to become the innovators of tomorrow. Have you ever wished for a way to ignite your students' creativity, critical thinking while teaching them valuable real-world skills? We'll explore an authentic learning experience that challenges students to collaborate, design, and market their own products. Join us as we uncover practical strategies, inspiring stories to help you transform your classroom into a dynamic hub of entrepreneurial spirit. Let's embark on this journey together and inspire the next generation of leaders. I am Jimmy Kate.
Nicole Lapointe.
Jeremy Osborne.
And Kendall Lloyd.
And we are Innovative Learning Coordinators in Berkeley County School District. And this is probably one of the, I think, better experiences we have. And I say that because of like the kind of multidisciplinary approach to it. Pretty much across the board, K through 12, we could probably make this work for your classroom. And I think that's a powerful thing. Yes, absolutely we have. So, and so let's just get right into, if we're talking about, Kendall, like the introduction to the entrepreneurial experience, what are some of the goals that we kind of do to start off with?
It's just really to get those creative juices flowing, connect to those standards. The first thing I think about is just about every grade level does some point or some form of decimal, some form of money, and they try to bring in like food trucks, designing something of their own, and that's just how we really get that started, working with those teachers, bringing in, just fun beyond the worksheet.
It is definitely a lot of it. Jeremy, what would you say when we're talking about like, what are some of the other, other goals that are going to come along with the entrepreneurial experience that you found?
I think the biggest thing that I've seen is that design thinking, going back, building empathy with the students, what kind of things that are needed, wanted.
Right.
And then also, kids have that entrepreneurship built into them, just talking about making money and things like that. As soon as they hear, entrepreneurship is all about building a business and making money, they're like, oh, I sell bracelets, I do this. So a lot of them have the experience. They just have never kind of packaged it into a
starting from step one.
Yeah, like, hey, it's all going to get put together. But, they're out there doing lemonade stands in the front yard. So we're just kind of taking it to that next level.
And I really like how you said starting with the empathy, because once you kind of tell them about that, it kind of caters to their choices and what they really are going to choose to do for their entrepreneurship project, because they want to make the most bang for their buck.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely an entrepreneurial spirit, I think, with any kid, especially little kids. And, it's the idea of creating this scenario where they're raising funds for whatever it is that you want them to raise funds for. That's kind of how we get it started. And then we start to encourage that kind of brainstorming, product. And so what does that look like when you've been working with your classes? And I think we've all done a different version of the entrepreneurial experience from high school all the way down to, again, the littles. And I think that's what I like about this particular experience is that it can cover, writing, math, you could bring in even parts of science. And we've done that.
All of them.
Yeah, pretty much any subject, you can use it for. So.
And I like how we did it with Tara Stevens at Stratford. With her last year, she had an entrepreneurship class, and it wasn't even like her part of the content and standards had already started, and then we started planning with her, and it just fell in so perfectly, right? So they were already working on that and designing and coming up with their food truck, and then we got to come in and help with, finishing off their design and laser cutting it. And
done it with art classes, really thinking about like people that are artists and how can they take that passion that they have for art and turn it into a way to make a living, make money, create businesses. It works with just about, again, everything that they have. So
yeah, I like the scenarios where students are raising money for something for their school. Whether it's a field trip, or we're going to build this cool room for kids to come into, different things like that. So it kind of builds that community as well, not just like, hey, how much money can I make? I want to be a millionaire.
You can cater to your specific needs.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and that's how we get started. We brainstorm scenarios. We give the students the ability to start brainstorming product ideas. We'll kind of do like that design thinking process, like Jeremy talked about, do that kind of individual sketch, go to the group sketch, and then bring that sketch to life. And then we've also added in now, with this idea of kind of creating like where each team is its own department of categories. We've added And we've got the fashion and apparel now option with the heat press that Kendall brought to the team, and that knowledge of sublimation printing. And then we've got home decor, toys and games, jewelry and accessories, promotional products, educational tools, pet products, travel accessories, automotive accessories, health and wellness. And if there's something else that, again, the teacher wants to do.
Definitely not limited to those.
No.
And
It gives us a place to start. Yeah.
I like how the students, like the pet products, that came right from a bunch of students. I think it was at one of your schools, right? And so then, that grew from there. Once other students saw that, they wanted to do some more.
It's nice to have these categories because when we first started, it was just like the keychains. So now
it was a little basic.
Yeah. Now we've been able to branch and think beyond keychains. And that's something when I do talk to the teachers, I'm like, this is nice. It's nice to have the keychains, but what can we think beyond that? You can't have a surplus in one item.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about this experience is just really how it grows every time we do it. We learn
New
something
ideas
new
all the time. Yes.
The kids come up with new ideas. We went from the keychains to the little croc charms to the pop socket things, and earrings, and
lots of jewelry for sure.
Now getting into some of the clothing accessories and T-shirt design and things like that, just really making it real world and relevant to what the kids are experiencing in their lives.
Yeah. So once they do the regular sketches, Jeremy, after that, where do we take it? Where does technology get involved with this process?
Yeah. So then there's a little learning curve, teaching the kids how to take whatever sketch they've created and putting that in some sort of digital design. So from the drawings on the paper, they're going to want to create something that they can either cut out on a laser or use with the sublimation. We've got 3D printers. I don't know that we've done any 3D printing.
Yeah, I did
for
one
parts of it.
Yeah,
Some that I've
to add to some of the
I just
product.
Let them know, you have to really talk about the materials and the machines we have, that the difference and all
time.
That. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to make something, if it takes 3 hours to make, how much money are you really making?
Right.
Time is money. So, the more things that they can create faster, the more money they're going to be able to make, the more products they'll sell. But yeah, I think that next step is turning those things digital and being able to take those digital designs and create something tangible.
Yes, and that's where, again, the innovative learning coordinators would help teach that kind of digital conversion that takes place using Google Drawings or SketchUp or Tinkercad or whatever we feel like is the best tool for the group of people that we're finalizing and sharing those designs. And then, Nicole, we go into the third step of this. We're looking at production, financial literacy, and marketing. What are some of the things that involved in that part?
Well, like Kendall said, at some point throughout school, they're either learning about, math or money or decimals or multiplying, or, hey, I can use the laser cutter for this amount of money. They're working on budgeting. They're working on so many of these skills that, they need for the real world.
Even for the
as
littles,
well.
just communication, talking to peers.
Yeah, letting them know, I have this much money, how much can I spend?
Right. They love to have those ITO bucks in their hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if we're looking at, I'm working with an entrepreneurship class at the high school level, then we're bringing in those kind of key financial terms of expenses, profit margins, and really taking the things that they're learning in that entrepreneurship class and making it and turning into something that's real life.
And what's the cost analysis sheet?
Yes.
We can go into depth of all the materials we have, how much you can buy it from, and then, like I said, we cater to each grade level.
Yep. This will work for economics class at high school level as well. So
I had a great conversation one time working with the students, and they were just cutting out like 3 or 4 things out of a piece of wood, and there was a whole sheet of wood left over. And the kids were like, well, we could make more stuff, because we were talking about how much money they would make, how much would they have to sell it for. And they're like, well, we can make like 10 or 15 more out of that piece of wood, so we would get even more money. You're only letting us cut 4 out. I'm like, yeah, well, for time today, we're only cutting 4, but they were absolutely right. You can make more, based on how big of a piece of material they have.
Right, because they pay for the whole sheet. So smart.
And it does it gets them to think, like when they buy the 2 sheets of acrylic and they're like, well, we want 2 colors, but it doesn't fit our budget. And then they have to sit back and think like, oh, does this really work? So it
Yeah.
does. It gets those.
Yeah, it hits on collaboration, it hits on communication, it hits on creativity, and it really hits on critical thinking. It definitely hits the 4 C's when you're kind of thinking about this. And again, we've got this, kind of laid out into these kind of activity breakdowns where we get started, we brainstorm, we sketch, and then they do through the whole design process. They create the digital designs. We go into then the production, financial literacy, the marketing.
That's what I was just going
Yep.
to say.
I
That
think
can be
that's one of my
really
favorite.
fun.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. And I
Because-
think teachers and students think it's probably one of the
Yeah.
better parts as well.
And they get to do it in all different ways, whether they want to make a flyer out of it or they want to make a recording holding their product.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, they can make flyers. They can do commercials using Screencastify, using Canva for upper secondary grades. You can create that all these different things, and then lower grades can use Adobe Spark to do the exact same thing when it comes to
Right.
flyers and infographics, and so you can really bring in all those kind of creative ideas to let those product presentations happen. And then it's how do you do that? Can they they have different ways to do that. What ways have we seen where they've done some different product presentation styles?
So I think right now I'm actually working with a 5th grade class, and I kept saying, we've got to have an authentic audience. We
Yep.
have to
Yes.
have an authentic audience. So we've worked with the principal. We have PTO members and community members
Perfect.
coming in one afternoon, and they're going to present. She was saying, oh my gosh, my students are terrified. And I was like, but they have to know that you have to be able to talk to adults, talk to people you don't see every
Right.
day.
And you guys are doing it kind of gallery style, right? Where they'll have their little booth
Yep.
set up,
And
which
then
I love.
people
That
walk
yes, that's gonna be
around
great.
Yep. We're using the whole multi-purpose room. So I told him, you can do the digital aspect, but the communication in person. So it's going to be like a little market.
You
Yeah.
have to
Craft
sell
fair.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the piece that a lot of times gets lost, is that presenting these things and giving the kids the opportunity to stand up and talk about what their thought process was. Why did we create this specific product? How much does it cost to buy? Where can you go buy it?
Exactly.
And it's really cool to see some of the kids come out of their shell.
Yes.
Like kids that didn't really work well the whole experience. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is what we did. This is what we did. And you can do this. And I'm like, whoa, where have you been the whole time,
Because
Johnny?
they're owning
Because
it.
that is their thing. Yeah.
Right. And they feel empowered now.
Yep. You've got podcasts. We've done Shark Tank style live presentations, just again commercials thrown into like a news program, that the whole school can see. So launching it to that bigger audience is definitely kind of a big part of this. And if you've got the laser cutter and 3D printers at your school, this can be completely done in house with again support of the ILCs. If you don't have those technologies, that's where again you work with your ILC. We bring out the iTow truck, and that even kicks the experience up another notch as well. So.
I think a big question to kind of piggyback of working with your ILC, and we may get to it in a minute, but how long does this usually take?
Yeah, I can think, I think I've done it, a couple different times. I think it varies each time
Yep.
that I've done it. It's really about how in depth we want to go,
Students,
and also to kind of depends on class time and how much time we can invest into each time. So like maybe a middle school, this may be, I have to come in one day and we go over the brainstorming, and another day we're going to actually do the digital creation part. Maybe for our longer high school classes or more time in the elementary where I've got more time, we might be able to go through the brainstorm and the creation in the same day, and then bring that truck in about a week or so. So
That's what I tell my teachers.
Yep.
I'm like, usually give yourself at least 3 days, because you can chunk
Yep.
some of those
Right.
phases together.
Right.
At least like the team parts can be done together. Then, your ILC support, and then you definitely want to have enough time for that creation. And then, so that's
Yes.
just something to think about. It's not a, let's get it all done in one day.
No,
Right,
no,
no.
no.
that
It's a learning
not
experience.
only-
Definitely, it's a full. But again, it can incorporate math and writing and all the different elements in there. So there's a lot that you can encapsulate and create with this particular project. So. When you're looking at, the career connections are definitely there. Work and life skills, we've talked about how important those are. The 4 C's, problem solving, and everything that kind of goes on outside of that as well. So, anybody done any kind of extension things with this as well? Like even brought it past the presentation part?
I've not, but I've talked with a media specialist, and she was saying, I would love to, what would you have done differently? So that's about as far
Yep.
as I've gotten with that. But if it didn't go the way you wanted, or if you could redesign it, what would you do different to make it better?
Make them self-reflect.
Yeah.
Just-
Yep.
Because you always have to have
Part
your
of that
prototype,
process.
and if something happens with that prototype, what can you do to make better? What else would you add to it? And
Right. I know with some of the people that have some of the laser cutters in house, they thought about creating like a little store that kids could come, and if they earned rewards, they could come and buy little things that were created by the kids as well, and that even
We've
launches
done
it to a
that.
bigger audience as well.
Yeah.
You have done that, yes.
And there was
Oh yeah, we have
Right,
done the store,
yeah.
at the Canehoy experiences,
Yes.
which were great, yeah.
yeah.
So again, kind of wrapping up the entrepreneurial experience. Again, if this is something that you're really interested in, the first thing you want to do is kind of again reach out to your ILC. We've also got a write-up of it in our BCSD Connection Schoology page. We'll put a link so that you can join that course and get into that course. If you're already in that course, just go to the Learning Experiences menu and you can read through there, reach out to your ILCs. And we love to sit down and plan out the entrepreneurial experience. I think it's one of our favorites across the team because of, again, how many things it hits and how, it's just engaging, authentic learning experience that really gets into work and life skills and connects a lot of the things that you're learning in the classroom and to these real world scenarios.
It's so engaging too.
Yes.
Yeah.
The students love it because it's theirs, it's their idea. They're making money for this
Right.
game room at their school or, and then when they get that product in hand, they get super excited too.
Yes,
Oh,
they
yeah.
do.
They've come up, can I have another one for my sister? Or,
Yes.
they
Mom needs
ask.
one.
Right.
My friend needs one.
Right.
All right. Did I leave anything out, guys? Anything we need to add in?
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for, I hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to check out the show notes. Again, we've got resources there. We've kind of got a breakdown of the different activities. Plus, we'll have links to the podcast video, links to the Innovation Squadcast PD, where you can get, again, 1 renewal credit for every 2 episodes, and links to that, again, Schoology page where you can check out the other learning experiences. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so that you know about the latest episodes. And we want to hear from you. Have ideas for new podcast ideas, want to join us as a guest, share your thoughts with us. We're excited to engage with our teachers. So thank you guys for being here. Until next time, keep innovating.